days you work, one whole day to play. Come on, everybody, wear your roller skates today. It's Saturday, 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 it's Saturday, Saturday, it's Saturday, Saturday, it's Saturday,
Saturday with Renee.
Yes, welcome back everybody to Black Liberation Media and episode 139 of Uninterrupted episodes of Saturdays with Renee featuring Renee Johnston. I'm Jared Ball. We have a great show for you today, special guest. And so make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, all the links in the show description. And Renee, how you feeling?
As well as capitalism, along with first world problems, can allow. I literally sent a note last night that was like, every day when I'm stressed, I have to remind myself that I'm not under rubble and I'm not running from bombs, and therefore I should like just not do the like super stressed out thing.
Although
because it's just unreasonable.
I know it's terrible, and it's obviously with all due respect, but as much as we want to be in solidarity with people suffering worse conditions, I do think we have to have some level and willingness to struggle against those conditions becoming the standard against
True.
which everything else is measured.
Very
so
true.
I appreciate
Very
what
true.
you said, but at the same time, you know, that doesn't mean that just because we're not under rubble, everybody else gets to do whatever the hell else they want to do to everybody else.
Definitely.
Like, and I feel like
stress is
Yeah.
real. Stress is
Yeah.
real, even if it's not the extreme version of it, right? Like it's legit. And
remember, there's already
capitalism
been sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
There's already been studies though that have equated the lived experience of Black Americans to the stress levels incurred by being in war, having PTSD. So again, we're all clear about the differences, but I do think, again, that, going back to that old classic sample, yeah, I'm hostile. I got a right to be hostile. My people been persecuted for 400 years.
Yep.
Here, you'll say, never mind what everybody's been doing everywhere else.
Yep. And I'm glad you just said that, because one of the early, Laura was on last week, and one of the early conversations that we had offline, as offline as you can be when you live in two different states, we were talking about her experiences growing up in Lebanon and when her family fled to Canada. And I was talking to her about it, and I said something similar, like, I've never had that experience. She was like, yeah, but being Black in this place is like it's a whole experience within itself. And every now and again, I have to remember that, right? Like, we're all under pressure. It's just never ending. We're all just under pressure. So,
and if you needed me to remind you, you are also a woman on top of it.
Yes, good times.
On top of the Blackness.
It adds to everything. Yeah.
So I know sometimes you need your co-host to say, let me remind you of
Facts. And you pulled it up, but how right is Chitty Matcha? Because look.
Yeah. Anything could happen. I mean, I wore a jersey today in case I have to duck and run. You never know. You never know.
Look. And I decided, I didn't want to box us, right? Because I feel like it's one of those. I feel like today should be one of those days where we're just gonna let it go where it goes. So there's stuff on the run sheet. And I didn't send the run sheet, Carlos, because there's not a whole lot of stuff. But
Yeah, he
I
joked and
can.
asked me
I'll
about. I didn't,
definitely.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
no. We can share it. I mean, it's all if you want to see the
Well,
8,000 old articles that we've gone through previously. Is tabs and tabs of links. So feel free. Like I'll drop it in the private chat. But
mhm.
um but really I have questions. I have very random questions, and so I just figured we're just gonna roll with it. But I do like the title that you gave.
Yeah, and we could do this when he's here as well. But just before we bring Carlos up, I did want to let folks know that behind me, that I just got word of this, to be perfectly honest. Today at Riverside Church at 3 p.m. in New York City is a tribute, a ceremony and a tribute to the life of Assata Shakur. And I did just get, like, not even an hour ago, from Daruba his comment that has sent them to air today, and was given permission to share it. So I posted it. We can air it here. They're about not even 7 minutes long if we want to squeeze those in. Because I think they in many ways ground where we're trying to go today, his comments. And so I just wanted, so if you happen to be in that area, I don't know that it's too late, if you want to run over to Riverside Church.
Well, they're doing a first come first all. So I just want everyone to know that Jared was made aware of this in our group text because Intume's going, and we had a whole conversation about this event.
I'm just going to sit here and eat my chips and hummus because I honestly, that's bad. That's bad because I literally have zero memory of that. You're saying I participated in this conversation?
No, you did. But it's on our group because I was debating because of the highlighted speakers. I was like,
yeah, I wasn't gonna say
yeah, we was gonna see, and so I was gonna leave it alone because I just wasn't sure if that was like do I want to do this thing? And then Two Black is at the People's Forum today also.
Oh, word.
So, but I will say that we got permission to stream the event also. So
which
Tani
event?
got the Assata Memorial. So on top of you not noticing it in the group text, it's somewhere in the StreamYard and you didn't see it there either. So
no, that's perfect. All of that's perfect. So I stand where I stand. Yeah. Okay. That's beautiful. All right. No worries. Well, there it is. Rest in power to Assata. Daruba's comments are on point. And I will say that what he says in his comments, especially given who's involved with the event today, those are the comments that he said on when I interviewed him back when I was with the Real News Network, that caused endless reverberating problems and a massive, and I've told the story before, that massive blow up argument that I ended up having with Paul J, who at the time ran that place. So I just listening to them again took me back to admittedly to some of that, because part of what he's saying is couched differently in his remarks here. He was saying at the time while she was still alive, stop saying she's innocent. That denies her the agency of what she was there knowingly doing and what she was there knowingly a part of. And then, as he said in that interview that I always remember, he was saying, stop, because he said you didn't train with Assata. And he said she was a better shot than me. And I just so it's a shame that It's what Lou Turner said to Lork and me the other day about Lenin. Revolution, or in this case, revolutionary arguments, expose contradictions. They don't end them. They heighten them. So anyway, so speaking, I think anyway, that's a pretty good segue for our guest too. Speaking of highlighting contradictions.
I mean, I don't look. We might as well not even delay it anymore. The people are chomping. The people are chomping.
All right. All right. Well, welcome back to the platform, Deculturation. Good to see you again.
How are y'all doing? Good morning.
Welcome.
As I said before,
thank
you for getting up, because you know we be asking a lot of the West Coast folks on a Saturday.
No, it's my pleasure. Honestly, I mean, normally I wake up like around 3:45 or 4 a.m. for work, so this is easier in a way.
There we go.
You know.
There we go.
Yeah. I was actually just reading.
It is late.
Yeah. You said you were reading?
I was just reading the open. Yeah, I was just reading the open letter to the white left in the U.S. while y'all were talking about Darumba. So that is just man. I remember reading that live.
Is there a way for me to read that? I want to read that. That sounds interesting.
Man. I mean, that could be the entire yeah, I remember reading that live and I was just like jumping up and down, just like, man, just so impactful. But thank you for having me. Yeah, no, this is
my favorite Mexican pleasure. Historian.
Of course. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, this is the
Wait, before you do that.
Oh yeah, my bad. I was just my bad.
What you doing?
My bad.
Before we do anything else, even though I feel like most people will know you, but can we start with the who you are, where you're at, what you do, how you got here, so that folks know what where you came from, and then we can start pulling stuff up.
Yeah, well, as a renowned Mexican historian, I'm here to spread my knowledge about. No, I mean, look, I'm just a shit talker. I'm just somebody who got fed up with seeing the normalization of liberal Zionism in these online left spaces, mainly through Marianne Williamson's book tour disguised as a presidential run, and that just sent me over the edge. I was very fortunate to run into some good fortune, and so I bought a little setup, and I just started running my mouth, and it's worked out. Funny enough, as the channel's grown, I've been butting heads a lot with white so-called radicals who are inconsistent, and I find it humorous to point out, because I've noticed that, I mean, so much of this and this space depends on parasocial relationships, which is something that we get into later. But yeah, I mean, I'm just first generation blue collar worker, sometimes union organizer on the side, shop steward, all these things that I try to keep myself busy to stay out of trouble. But other than that, I mean, there's honestly, and I say this consistently, like there's nothing special about me or unique about me or my story. I'm sure that it's pretty average, mundane. I don't really share it too often because I don't think that's where the significance of my opinions, my analysis, my criticism lies. And also to combat the parasocial stuff, I don't really get too deep into what I've been through and experienced, but I always remind people that I do feel like the fortunate son. I do feel like the lucky one, because being first generation, you realize the privileges that being a U.S. citizen grants you, while at the same time you have a very intimate and close relationship with the way that the U.S. empire targets your family members. So a lot of responsibilities are put upon first generation kids, and I've been very, very proactive and disappointing. So, with all that in mind, like, yeah, I'm just here to call people out the same way I've always done in person. I try not to present a persona. I do want to say that I'm super grateful for the opportunities and consistently the the space and the platform, especially somebody who's always saying like, stop letting brown people, Hispanics, Latinos, whatever you want to call us, mestizos, into these spaces, because we're so like, the anti-blackness is so entrenched. So because of that, I do try my best to be even more conscious and considerate of it, because it's too easy and too normalized. So thank you.
Appreciate that. And it's funny because you said that to me the first time we chatted. You were like, I just don't know about this whole letting brown people on. And and I guess so it's tricky, right? Because like all things, I have to remind myself and everyone else, like we're such a small percentage of the population here. And part of the reason that the oppression is so intense is because there has been a successful separation of the oppressed, right? And so, I think in my head, you being here is also what's needed, right? Like we need you with your total understanding of how all of this works, your understanding of the anti-blackness, your understanding of the first generation, your extent, like all the things needs to be in this space, because there's also a part of that as Black people, we don't fully understand, that we need to understand in order for us to work out this whole problem of the separation of the oppressed, right? So thank you for breaking your own rule, because we've been chit-chatting about you coming on for a while. So I'm glad we made it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay consistent. These aren't things I'm just saying publicly. I mean, I say it privately. I don't see the point in playing a character or trying to cater to anyone. I just try to be myself, and it's worked out pretty well so far. As the channel's grown and the support, which I was very hesitant talking about like first generation upbringing. Like you don't ask for help or handouts unless it's like life or death. So it kind of took a little bit of a breaking that discomfort to monetize the channel and do the whole pitching and all that stuff. But again, something that was kind of surprising to me is the amount of just support from the Black community has been so overwhelming. It should be unsurprising because that seems to be historically always the case. I don't know. I thought maybe if I would come out here with like a Mexican flag, some Chicano imagery, maybe it'd be a little bit different. I guess the accent isn't enough, but yeah, it's been really humbling, and I don't take that lightly. Like and I'll say this, the initial title for the edited version of my reaction to FD's so-called debate, I took a swing, and it was a bit of the type of humor that I would have with my coworkers, and people weren't having it, and I immediately changed it without hesitation, and then without excusing it, realizing that I overstepped. But I feel fortunate that people are willing to support me, and as well as call that out immediately. So it's always a balancing act that I'm always consistently trying to learn how to do better.
I mean, that's the goal, right? Like, how do I, whatever I didn't do right the last time, how do I do it right next time? How do I not make the misstep? How, it's the never ending challenge of how do you like make these things work and keep going. And I feel like this, because I feel like I say it all the time, being first generation, because both my parents are Jamaican. So, I feel that experience to the core. Shout out to my moms who's always listening. Hi, mommy. But it is different. I've had a Substack for like years that I refuse to monetize because the pressure of having to write consistently for it to be worth people giving money. And then I'm like, do I really want to do that? Because I probably could force myself to do it I've toyed with the idea of doing like a Saturday's follow up, like every Saturday, sitting down and like writing out the thing, like a thing that we didn't talk about, or that we missed, that was on the run sheet that we didn't get to, like something like that.
I know you're going to tell me you told me that already, but I don't remember that, and I think that's a great idea.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever said it out loud to everybody, to be honest. It's something that I always think about. Like it could be a way, right? Like if every Saturday, between Saturday and Monday after the show, I sit down and I contemplate, like, what's the thing that I wish I had said louder or went into? What's, did we miss an article that was on the run sheet? There's a whole tab of articles that we never actually talked about because we just never got to it. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll talk myself into doing it. But so this actually leads to one of my questions. What was what was the thing that made you say, that's it, I'm just going to do it? Like, what was
it was really seeing Marianne Williamson and her book tour, because this is Oprah Winfrey's like spiritual guru, was the way that it was being pitched, and was taken seriously by a lot of the online left, whether you're talking about someone like Hassan Piker or even Brianna Joy Gray. And for me, it was just baffling because, being from Southern California, being from LA County, you run into these white, hippie, predominantly white women all the time. And they're some of the most slick races you'll run into. And they'll do it with a smile and with like their jewels and crystals and without a batting an eye. And so I immediately disliked her. But then I learned about her Zionism, and I was like, oh, like, no, she's dangerous. Even not that I ever thought she was going to win, but just her in these spaces is dangerous. She literally officiated the wedding of Crystal Ball and Kyle KKK Kalinske. Like, that's how entrenched she got into this space. And like, so that kind of took me over the edge because I'm a misogynist. No, because I was like, no, like this can't like stand. And nobody's calling her out because she's this old, frail white woman. To the point where you have these two white men in the vanguard whose whole pitch is like, hey, well, we're the slop of the online left. Like any Twitter fights, they're on top of it. That's how their channel grew, through writing Jimmy Dore's coattails. And then they're pretty good at knowing where the wind is blowing, so they jump ships to the Sam Cedar world and all that. But along that process, they accurately defended, I believe it was Ilhan Omar, who mentioned that the Zionist entity, much like the United States, is a settler colonial project and, rooted in white supremacy and genocide. So they knew that she was right in describing it as such. And Marianne Williamson pushed back and said, no, that is not the origins of the Zionists. She said of Israel. That might be of the United States, and there might have been certain issues in the past, but the founders did not intend for what is occurring today to happen, when it's quite literally what they intended to happen in their writings, in their public writings. And these guys just like kowtowed to her, hoping to get another interview. And at the time, I didn't want to do anything with like streaming. Believe it or not, I don't like to hear myself speak. There's so much that I need to learn, and I'd rather be doing the actual, on the ground work. But I'm a loudmouth, and I needed to speak up because I didn't see anybody else criticizing these predominantly white leftists the way that I could. And so, yeah, I grabbed the mic and just really frustrated with it, especially because I was very fortunate to, one of my mentors, he's Palestinian, and in every class he would take, one class session to talk about Palestine. And so for years I had known about this, and, me and him have built a great friendship, and his story is not unique either. But, everything he's taught me early on was to catch these liberal Zionist dog whistles or talking points. And so I've always been very hypersensitive to them, and it's always made me uncomfortable that people have normalized it for so long. So with Marianne, it was just kind of like, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was when I called it out with those guys, because I'm like, well, these guys are just, they admit that they're not the smartest individuals. They're just here to have a good time and make money from a struggle they're not a part of. Surely they know better, and they're not going to like defend this individual. And no, they defended her to the point of defending the kibbutz, the kibbutzim, which are like the original settlements, like the initial process of colonized Palestine. They defended that as a socialist or like anarchist project, according to Noam Chomsky. And then they doubled down by saying that some of the original founders of the Zionist project had good intentions. They just went about it the wrong way. And I was like, oh, okay, so these guys are like white supremacists. Like that's a white supremacist mentality that Europeans can have righteous, holy plans. And, they just stumble and fumble along the way, but it's not their fault. So that's kind of what really led to it. Hassan Piker questioned her on her Zionist positions, but as always, it's very performative and toothless. It's just kind of like, oh, well, I asked. And there's no real consequence because he doesn't want to burn these bridges with these individuals. And then, of course, Brianna Joy Gray's always occupied a weird space. I want to make sure that Dr. Ball gets on the next episode, so I won't go too hard there. But yeah, I mean, that's
say what you want to say. I'm not. I mean,
no.
By no means do
listen,
whatever.
The joke every time is Saturdays will end because Jared's gonna get like a full-time job with.
And as soon as it happens, I will quit immediately, loudly. I'm out here auditioning daily, trying to get. I miss anyway. Yeah, but
no, I mean, I can't wait to hear.
Say what you got to say. I don't have.
It was mainly a jab, but poking fun at. But I mean, whether it's Marianne Williamson and her Zionism, or now Tucker Carlson being pro-Palestinian out of nowhere, it's like, how can somebody so intelligent, like especially when you compare her to the white left, every time she debates any one of these people, you realize how mediocre these white individuals truly, truly are. Again, another example, I have literally every time I've interacted with FD has been because of disagreements. And I told him to his face, you're not a good debater. And he stomped out that Australian colonizer, Bad Empanada. So it's like the way that these individuals, these white leftists, are so mediocre and so pathetically like just basic. It's sorry, go ahead.
So just oh damn. What was I just gonna say?
No, when this happens,
I'm fighting back my
thing. I can only keep one thought in my head at a time. So the new thing was that knocked out the original thought was, now that I lose that one too, did you, in your most recent live, did you end up going through FD's debate with this dude? Because I had to leave early. And I've not seen that exchange because I was like, I'm not watching. I have no interest in. So I've only literally seen the clip that he sent on Instagram, where he referenced us and edited down his explanation of who you are, which is hilarious. But yeah, did you go through that? Because that would be the only way I would be able and willing to go through FD's exchange with this dude.
Yeah, no, I went through it previously, like on Sunday. It's the first time I think I streamed on a Sunday, and then I edited down on the actual like video portion of the Deculturation live channel, which is I'm going to try to do more of just to make it more accessible to people and digestible. But look, I mean, one thing that I do want to emphasize, the only reason me and FD ever interacted was because I was like hounding him whenever he was in any radical spaces about his association and proximity to this Christian white nationalist, P.F. Jung. And the only reason I knew about P.F. Jung is because I keep tabs on these white liberals And at the time, before his sexual misconduct allegations came out, I would tell people to check out this streamer named Destiny, who basically birthed a lot of these individuals, from Hassan Piker to Vosh, who outed himself as a pedo. Like, it's just a disgusting space. Vosh being a sex tourist, all these things. So just white people shit. And so I would tell people to go watch his stuff if they want to know how liberals are debating and how they're, spreading their propaganda. That's a great place to kind of tap into. And because of that, he had a debate with this individual named P.F. Jung. And through that, I found out that FD was kind of like rubbing elbows with him. So whenever I saw FD in radical spaces, I was talking my shit and pointing it out. And it got to the point, I guess, that FD found me streaming and was like, all right, let's talk about it. And I was like, all right. And we talked about it. And to his face in that moment, I'm always calling him out for, what I think are soft liberal positions, and also his association and affiliation with these white leftists who have consistently proven that they're just frauds, that they're just in this for the money, that they're in this for clout. And these people are misguiding so many impressionable, predominantly like young people. And we need to view them as our enemies. One of the main, goals of whatever I'm doing, whatever the project is to highlight the fact that these liberals, Radlibs, Dem socks, progressives, whatever they're calling themselves this week, that they're the enemy of the people, the working class, of the colonized proletariat. And to view them as anything less than that will only damage us and our communities while they get richer, richer, and richer. And most of them are white, so they're safe either way. But yeah, it is funny kind of seeing people online say that me and FD are best friends and agree politically, when every interaction has been because of a disagreement. But I mean, look, these white people see non-white people in a shared space and they assume that we're all friends, buddies, and but look.
Well, the assumption is that if you're not in some even performative hostile exchange with somebody, that you are automatically best of friends. So
True.
It's so the fact, I mean, the times I've seen you exchange with him, it's amicable, even funny at times, but clearly you're not on the same page. And I think that goes with a lot of us. And I don't, but people, anyway, but it's just easy when it becomes, when it's especially set to a purpose, to then say, so-and-so I saw with so-and-so, and therefore such and such. Yeah.
And I
think is,
I just want I think it's rough in these spaces, because this is a conversation that I want to circle back to FD about now that, we've hashed out our our thing, right? Which is the difficulty in when you are making, when your literal life is based on what you are doing in these spaces, navigating that, right? So I recognize that I have a spouse with a job, right? And so I don't we're not living off of what happens through Black liberation media. And so I try in some ways to, give some grace for the fact that we are all trapped in this capitalist system where you're trying to navigate, how do we make sure that we can eat and pay bills and all these things. And I think sometimes oftentimes, not even sometimes, probably most of the time, I see people do stuff and I'm like, why are you doing that? And then I have to remind myself that we're all trapped in this system of trying to survive, a system that is not built for us, for our survival, right? So then what do you do in order to survive. A lot of times you end up doing things that maybe if your survival wasn't like banking on it, maybe you wouldn't take that path. And and it could also be grace that I shouldn't give people, right? Like maybe they'd take that path anyway. Somebody in the chat a couple of weeks ago said like people are shitty for free. Like, why do you think like what do you have to pay somebody to not be shitty? They're shitty for free. Why would they, why would they do anything different? And so, it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle with trying to figure out like how do you maintain your irritation with people for doing things that you can't 100% say they're not doing because they have to eat, right? I don't know. This is just, I hear you, but this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the struggle, right? And so real quick, just so you know, like I've always known that Marianne Williamson was full of shit. And so I'm glad that was what like put you on that path, because years and years and years ago, when she was all in support of the People's Party, and we were like, yo, can you like have a conversation with people who are like involved in this stuff and seeing what's happening? And she was like, she brushed everybody off. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're really just in it so that you can maintain your position and you can run for office with your crystals and, whatever stuff she had else going on. And so, yeah, she's a hot mess.
It sounds to me like your chakra and your aura wasn't aligned. So really look inward. Where is your third eye? Obviously she saw something was off. So maybe like a cleansing would help. Look, just again, Southern California, you run into these people all the time, and well, in certain spaces for sure. Definitely not anywhere where I grew up. But once you get into like the city, it's definitely there. And it's funny, honestly. It's their caricatures, I guess, of themselves. What I will say though, look, I'm a blue collar worker. I don't say that to brag. I say that because that's the reality. I'm a shop steward, so I've represented people that I don't get along with, people that it's a blue collar job. Like sometimes you get into situations where nobody's gonna go to HR. But I say that because it's forced me to interact with people and defend people and support people. I mean, I'm talking to people who are losing their jobs, and I'm trying to figure out how the union can help them out to make sure that they're able to put food on the table. These are people with multiple jobs where I've seen them clock in from one job to the other and no sleep, taking naps from, one job site to the other. And it's taught me, because a lot of these individuals have been conditioned to be reactionary. Mind you, if they know you personally, they're sweethearts, they love you. But if you ask them broadly, they'll be like, nah, I'm not with that shit, or I'm against that, or that's not, you name it. All those cliches are there. And I say that because I can disagree with anyone and speak to you and try to find some understanding, common ground, or even clarification on our disagreements. And I'm not performative. The way I react to hearing somebody saying some nonsense, that's 100% me reacting to their nonsense. But if it's set up to where like, all right, now we're going to talk about it, I'm an adult. I can do that if that's what we're agreeing to do. Now, if your whole goal is to create a scene and some drama, I could do that as well. I grew up thinking that shouting was the way people normally talk to each other. So that's more than comfortable for me. But you know what? I kind of want your opinion on this, Renee. Did you see the whole the panel discussion with Little Bill?
No.
No? Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Mostly because
it's beneath you.
No, it's not even that. It's more that like sometimes putting myself in these spaces where I have to listen to people that I feel are idiotic. Like I'm like, what is happening right now? And so I'm really glad to hear you say that you're going to work on like doing these clipped versions of the streams. So because I can't sit through it. It's too it's like it's so much, and I'm a supporter. Like I'm one of your Patreons, right? But it's mostly so you have support, and then I watch clips where I can, and then people are like, did you see this thing? So I'll go in and like watch a clip. But I did not see that. No. So is there something that you need me to pay attention to? Because I'll go watch it. And,
well, first of all, fake fan. No, I'm kidding. No, thank you. And I get it. I mean, sometimes I'm trying to do like 3-hour streams. How do I end up doing 5-6 hours is
that you
beyond
aim for
me.
3 hours, by the way, is also like, wait, what?
Look, I'm the same way. There's so many open tabs. Like I've been wanting to talk about Honduras Gate for weeks. Navarro Media just had one of the writers for that, and Navarro Media is so trash, man. But I was like pulling my hair out listening to this while actually getting my tags, because I was like, anywho, yeah, that it was a horrible interview. But so I'm always consistently behind on things that I want to cover. And but that being said, the reason I bring that up is because and I'm anti-Semitic apparently, according to Emma Vigeland, so I can say this. Dr. Ball was pulling the strings, as they do in the background, controlling everything, puppeteering. And so Dr. Ball's like, well, let's have a conversation. And I was like, all right, cool, let's make it happen. And again, if I'm being invited to the IMX What I Like platform, I'm not gonna go in there like shouting. I'm gonna do my best to be respectful of the space and the time. And man, like now, and I've been Renee, the amount of times that I have to watch or seen already because of the editing process, Little Bill's Zionist nonsense. It's literally like soul crushing, and having to watch and rewatch and edit. I don't like it because look, I don't know the guy. I don't watch his content. Again, I only know about this because how other people were reacting to it and people asking me to cover it. And I've literally physically grown to dislike him because I've seen that so many times. And my regret of how I approach things. No, I shouldn't say that. Not regret of how I approach things. My regret of not realizing what he was doing in the moment is growing. And Dr. Ball can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was never expressed that now it just sounds like sour grapes, but I will, to wrap that up, it was never expressed that that's how he was gonna interact with the live stream, which I think was actually pretty disrespectful to Dr. Ball and collectively like all our time. But anyway, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Ball.
No, so there's a couple. So no, you're not wrong. So let me just say that. In fact, let me just start there. I don't think you're wrong at all. What I'm struggling with just in general is, one is just a post midlife crisis. And within that context, what I've seen, the summary I'll put on it is what I've seen YouTube do to the activist organizing community, and so all right, trying to let me stay focused. So you're not wrong about what I thought was supposed to have happened. What I am not sure and didn't feel, at least in the moment, I didn't feel disrespected as much as I did disappointed. But the question that I really want to raise, and that tangent I was staring into the abyss into just a minute ago would have brought us back to eventually is this question of, because I admit a bias around, because I did watch, and I do from time to time watch Bill's content, and I've enjoyed a good bit of what I've watched, given what I expect that platform to offer. So what I'm asking is, are you saying are you saying what you saw him do and what you see him doing is trying to intentionally mask some sort of actual conscious Zionist politics? Or is this just what I thought it was, especially during that discussion, and an unfortunate, inexperienced engagement among a more liberal wing of YouTube creators who want to make content, they want to make increasingly politically relevant content, and yet they keep stepping into spaces that they really are underexperienced for. So yeah, that's really it. That's because that's ultimately how I took it. I didn't take his errors as more malicious than that, but that's, yeah, go ahead. That's it.
Look, and man, I'm pretty jaded, so I try to take that approach. Like, I try to make sure that I'm balancing out my bias, because I know where I'm already coming from, and sometimes that's not fair to people, right? For example, and I've mentioned this before, your conversation with Cam. And like, when I first found out about that, I was like, toss this guy out. And then through the conversation, I'm like, okay, like, he's trying, and you realize he made a mistake. And that's exactly what we should want from each other, right? And so I know how I react. I know how sometimes I get a little, dogmatic maybe. So because of that, I make the effort to try and listen to people and try and understand where they're coming from. One, Bill was hardly there to really provide that. But if I would have known that he had his history as being a pastor, then I for sure would have been more aware of what I believe to be actual Zionist sentiment. And again, I'm not trying to steal Diallo's whole bit, but how deep this runs when people actually believe in these myths and fairy tales and all the disrespectful, dismissive, words, that would have changed a lot. That would have changed a lot if I would have known that. And the moment that he said that he speaks in, was it like metaphors and allegories or something like that, I should have known, because the purpose of speaking in metaphors and allegories is to be vague and not to be tied down to a certain position, and to give yourself enough room to excuse whatever position you're being held to. And so with that in mind, my approach would have been, oh, okay, I'm talking to a used car salesman, and I have more respect for a used car salesman than a preacher, pastor, you name it, a rabbi, right? So I do think that it's a legit Zionist sentiment, especially because and again, rewatching his car video so many times, there is absolutely no need to accurately call out the fact that there are predominantly white leftists or self-proclaimed leftists or pro-Palestinian people who are just using this moment to express their true, I even hate the word anti-Semitic, but as what we understand to be anti-Semitic sentiment, and that we should call that out because these are not our allies, right? However, to go from that accurate position, and two things that stood out to me was, one, this is the first time you speak about Palestinians or anything related to Palestine, and you immediately throw them out of the conversation, quite literally saying, I'm not talking about Palestinians right now. To immediately do that already, for me, as they're going through a genocide by the people that you're trying to defend, exposes your true sentiment about whose life you value. And so what makes it rough is that he was correct in the first half, but not the second half, which is more fundamental, because while you're calling out these essentially white supremacists, you're defending and excusing these Jewish supremacists. Right? And so that's the frustrating part. If he would have came out and said, hey, I'm worried about people cozying up to Jake Shields, like Renee's good friend, Nick Cruz, right? Hey, I'm worried about
why you do that?
people cozying up to Tucker Carlson, like Brianna Joy Grace trying to do. Hey, I'm like this, you know, like the
that was the point. That's exactly when I said a minute ago, I forgot what I was going to say. That was it. Mm-hmm. That you mentioned, and sorry to cut you off, man. But that was it. I watched her recent interview with Saul Williams.
It was amazing.
The discussion was amazing, but I was like, I hadn't been paying enough. I hadn't been watching her content. I don't watch her that often, but I didn't realize how much she kept coming back to Tucker Carlson, and I was like, what is happening here? And then somebody made a comment. Yeah, well, somebody made a comment like they could see her saying, justifying why she voted for him in 2028. And I was like, I mean, sorry, man. Anyway, so that was, it was wild. That was wild. Her and FBA are all being taken in by Tucker Carlson, apparently. He's
well, the thing is, like, I don't
this new black radical leader. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember sending you that clip. That was hilarious. I'm sure other people sent it to you though, but that was great. Look, the issue is, much like Little Bill, I don't think that is a genuine thing from Brianna Joy Gray. She's far too intelligent and politically savvy. In fact, I think she does things like this in order to maintain a certain support or donors from these people. I mean, look how long it took her. This is how I know she's strategic, and I admire it in a certain way. So she was riding that kind of Jimmy Dore wave as well. Again, not socialist, not communist, not anarchist. It eventually became a weird populist thing. And to me, all populism is reactionary, but it's another conversation. At least in a settler colonial project, because the majority is white. So populism is going to lean in their favor. But anyway, I noticed that she kept doing this slick thing of saying like, well, I haven't even had Jimmy Dore on my show. Why are you guys associating us together, right? And there are some people that took it too far. I think, was it Benjamin Dixon, who was on the Majority Report, said some pretty abhorrent things about a Bedouinch, which, I mean, if you're going that far to garner support from, you know, the white left, white Radlibs, man, like, you're a disgusting individual, regardless of whatever political disagreements we may have, because you're doing that for a specific audience to get a specific reaction, and the consequences of that is can directly affect the black woman, regardless. So, anywho, she kept using this line of "I've never had Jimmy Dore, I never had Jimmy Dore on," and then now she has him on when he's probably at his worst, and it was like a fluff interview, and
she had Jimmy Dore on.
Oh, yeah. And like, at least
but
back
she's
then,
had, but
like, right.
She's interviewed, and she and I had a brief. I thought we were going to talk about it during one of our interviews, but she had Glenn Lowry on, which for anyone who knows a particular strand of black conservative politics history is to me worse an offense than Jimmy Dore. But I didn't know about the Jimmy Dore thing. That's wild though. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
But how was that conversation? Because I remember that one with Lowry, and I think it was. I don't think she ever really argues or like gets into any heated exchanges, because I think she's a professional. But there's pressure, there's pushback to him. Because I remember that conversation, and I thought it was actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but
I saw it. I took notes on it. I was ready. I was in the moment. I was heated. I was ready to go. I didn't think it was. But anyway, that was one time I didn't. But I have a particular bias there too. But the only time I've only seen smatterings of her content, but the only time I've seen her, the most hostile I've seen it get with her that I can remember at least is with Gerald Horne, which I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, yeah. So no, yeah.
No, well, that was the most hostile because he was ruining her play. He was exposing the game that she's running.
Mm.
He literally said, like, stop excusing these backwards Euro-Americans. Well, how are you going to do that when you got to support Tucker Carlson in 2028? You can't.
Yeah, that was some wild commentary.
So this is another situation of so she literally ended up in the position that she ended up in because she was working as the press person for a liberal, right? And so because she started with Bernie. Like she started with Bernie. That's how she became popular, was arguing with people on Twitter over Bernie Sanders. And so as her popularity grew, I don't even remember the dude's name now that used to be on the show who had that weird like situation with the teenage girls. So then he like disappeared,
Virgil
but he's
Texas.
still, but he's still like
Virgil Texas. He's from Chapo Trap House.
Right. Who used to be her co-host on the show because it was their show together that they started. His picture is still on everything, but he no longer is part of the show.
Wait, is he still on Chapo Trap House?
No.
No, I think everything fell apart when this whole thing with the 16-year-old happened.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Because I listen to their show every once in a while.
And so
how?
It's so
wait
white.
before don't get
sorry.
Don't get me the hold well actually Jared, write down whatever you were about to say so you don't forget it. So she ended up on this path, right? And that like her podcast makes so much money. And I remember because when they first started, I gave my little $5 a month. And then she started interviewing weird people. And then I was like, you know what? You're making a lot of money from people that like have no interest in actually like being like decolonized. And so you don't need my money when my interest is to remain decolonized, right? Or to get to further decolonization. And so I stopped giving. She's also another person who was in with the People's Party. And when I made an attempt to like say like, yo, can you like have this very real conversation about what's happening in that space with Black people, she didn't even respond to me. Right. And so all of these, so again, like you have someone else who's making a lot of money off of, you know, giving liberals their space. She's not going to give that space up. She's not going to concede that. That's how she's making her living, whether she wants to acknowledge like that's why she's doing it or not this is your job. Your job is this podcast, and therefore you're going to do whatever you need to do. Like my opinion on Tucker Carlson is he sees the line of where he needs to be when people go back in history, right? And so he picked the side that he thought was going to be most beneficial to him. Whether he actually cares or not about the lives of Palestinians is questionable, right? But I'm not in the man's head, so I can't say what he actually thinks one way or another. But I do know that for me, because he is just such a blatant racist, like I really don't care about his opinion on things, whether we're aligned or not, because I'm not trying to stand next to the racist and say anything. Like he can go say it somewhere and that's cool, but I don't have to engage with it, right? So it's all very interesting, and we always end up when we're having these back and forths, you know, on our chats about this, is like, where is your line, right? Like how do you make the mark of, this is the thing that I'm not going to engage with, even if it's going to be beneficial to me, because I just don't want to be in space with this person, right? And that's always the question, like, how do you how do you navigate that situation in a way that, if you're living off of your podcast, isn't a detriment to your podcast, but also at the same time doesn't put you in a precarious situation with regard to your own actual like political ideology, or your space as an oppressed person. Like, so all of these things are the things that I'm always like in my head, like, we're probably never really going to make a lot of money here. Not on this show. Like, maybe the channel will be great, but because I just don't have the energy for it. Like, I just like, I don't even want to talk to people that I feel like are in these spaces to give them space to figure out whether or not they can be changed. Because I'm like, if you're in a space where you actually think that you can say some wild shit about Palestinians and that's gonna fly, right? Like, fuck you. Like, I don't even want to be I don't want to share space with you. I don't want to share content with you. I don't want to be on anything with you. But that's me, right? That's my own thing. And it just it makes all of this, it's all of this is all up in the air for all of these things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So real quick, so this, just because this question just popped up. So she resigned. So I don't know what bill this person's talking about. She's not in Congress anymore. She resigned. But I also don't live in her district. So what, like, I don't even know. I have no idea what this person's, I don't know what they're.
Yeah, I can be brief with it. I think I know what they're referring to. So basically there's this whole like online drama over AOC not supporting the bill that she was pushing at the time. This was a bit ago, to basically withhold even more weapons. I don't think it was a total embargo, but it was more severe restriction of weapons to the Zionist entity. And basically AOC didn't support it. And recently she mentioned how, we shouldn't be aligning with individuals like Marjorie Taylor Greene. The only issue is that I believe both Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib supported the bill, while AOC didn't. So again, consistently demonstrating that she wants to pursue this self-righteous path while really just, signaling to Zionists that she's always going to be in their favor at the end of the day. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that's what they're referring to. For me, it just highlights the fact that AOC is AOC.
But also, so this also leads us back to the problem that I always have within political spaces, right? Like, I don't want to align with the bill because there should be no reductions, right? If they're like, write a bill that says we're going to end all support, we're going to end everything, right? Like, conceding and getting crumbs is the problem. That is the strategy that everyone has been on forever. Like, well, we'll reduce it. And then, but what does that mean? That reduction doesn't help the Palestinians. It doesn't help the Lebanese people. It doesn't help, it doesn't help to have less bombs, because they're still going to drop the bombs that people have, right? And so what is the strategy here for this situation? So I'd have to read the bill to know specifically what it said. But again, like, if the strategy is, okay, stop outright selling bombs to Israel, right? But within the bill, there's also something else that actually makes it just more crumbs, then no. But you don't support it, not because she's racist. You don't support it because it's a bad bill. Right. I mean, and Democrats do this all the time, like Ilhan, and they will go along with it because they're trying to get crumbs. But this is what Democrats do, right? They try to get crumbs, which is why we never, that's why it can never get anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, so before I used to focus a little bit more on this, and I'm sure like midterms or in that season, I'll probably go back to it, but just reminding people that, like, okay, within the electoral bubble, right? While you're correct in everything you said, within the game that these people are playing, within the show that they're trying to put on, even then, certain liberals like AOC fall short, right? And so I do think that there's benefit in that in order to highlight these contradictions or just the kayfabe of it all to people who are still invested in the electoralism of it all, but also taking a step back and being like, but remember, the whole thing is, as you mentioned, crumbs and nonsense. But yeah, and then just kind of to go back to what you previously mentioned, yeah, when it comes to individuals like Tucker, I understand why you're like, look, I can't read into his heart. I don't know what he thinks. These are all white supremacists. They don't view us as human beings. In their perfect world, we're either all enslaved or just completely exterminated. And they've been prepared and conditioned, especially him, his father being in the CIA, to be ahead of the curve and to be, prepared for the next wave. And that's how he survived for so long. I mean, look at his career in comparison to Jon Stewart. If you go back to their debate on Crossfire, which Jon Stewart, I don't know how liberals have these heroes and just rave how they won debates and all this stuff. If you watch that conversation, they expose Jon Stewart as being nothing more than also propagandist for the Democratic Party. But Jon Stewart's defense is like, well, I'm a comedian. Yeah, that means people are more susceptible to your form of propaganda. That means people are more calm and relaxed when they're viewing you because they think you're trustworthy because you're not like these political commentators. You're different, right? And so, I mean, just look at Stephen Colbert's career. But anywho, in that Crossfire debate, Tucker was still wearing the bow tie, was still very much essentially I think it's still a neocon. And look where he is now. Off of Fox News, but that's only benefited his career, not in terms of viewership or even financially, but in terms of legitimacy, which is more significant for your long-term survival. Now he has no more strings. Now he could honestly tell the truth and have these conversations that other people are afraid of, that Fox News wouldn't let him have, all this stuff. But it's all ploy for his own, persona, his own character that he's creating. It's no different than somebody like Hassan Piker, who is a sheepdog for the Democratic Party, the biggest normalizer of liberal Zionists, and is over here being allegedly or about to be subpoenaed by the Trump administration. That is it's weight in gold or whatever. That is so valuable to the persona of a revolutionary that he tries to present himself as, that nothing would benefit his career more if he actually did spend some time locked up, right? That would seal him as a martyr, as a legend, as a political prisoner, all these things. And so it's always important to remember what the end goal is for these people, right? They already got the money. They already got the fame. They're thinking about the long-term trajectory. They're thinking about 10, 20 years in advance. And so when you stop giving them, and I'm not saying you did this, Renee, but when you stop giving them the benefit of the doubt and you realize that these are businessmen, right? I'm not even a Jay-Z fan, but I love that line. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. That's what they are. They're selling themselves. Brianna Joy Gray, she is the product. We are the products. And how you present yourself is how people are going to be invested in you and support you no matter what. Some of these people can do legit unhinged things and people will support them. There's videos, there's this whole drama where Hassan Piker, whether he shocked his dog or he didn't, right? Bro's on tape recommending the dog trainer that he took his dog to that uses a shock collar. That's all you need. And whether or not you're shocking your dog using a shock collar, bro, the way that I seen, sorry, I can't share too much, but I grew up watching Amores Perros. If you've seen that movie, it's about dog fighting in Mexico, right? I grew up watching that as a kid. I'm not sensitive to how people may treat their animals. That's just, for me, that's just what it is. It's a cultural thing. It's different. So I'm like, who cares if you did or didn't? Own it. But there's legit a video of him pulling his dog by its tail, dragging his dog by its tail, cursing it out. And people excuse that. And so that I just mentioned that, not because it's this huge political thing, but to highlight that for white people, how you treat your animal is like the red line, and they still excuse and defend him. So it's all about what you can get away with and how you present yourself. And I mean, these are characters, and it's sometimes I feel like I'm going insane that
Yep.
people actually believe them.
Yep, and you're 100% right. And Jared, I hope, wrote down what he was going to say before when I stopped him so he could remember his point. But I just wanted to just say real quick, like, this is what you just expressed is exactly my problem. Like, to me, for all we know, Tucker Carlson and the White House are having phone calls about how they're going to navigate this thing so that he can, because they have to let some people do it. It's why the Times every now and again will put out an article that has some legitimacy. It's why every now and again, all of these mainstream media spaces will do real reporting, right? Because how else do they hold on to you but by giving you enough of the truth every now and again that it convinces you that they're not so bad. Like, that's the whole, like, that's the whole game. That's literally the whole game. But Jared, what did I cut you off from?
No, you didn't. You kept us on track. That's all you were doing. So I appreciate it. So one, I just want to clear up. I only watch shows like Chapo Trap House from time to time. This is what I wrote down. Because I cannot take certain so because of it being a legit white space. Like that was how I, used to at one point watch Seinfeld or South Park, or I need my stuff segregated for the most part. Like I don't want the pretend overlap. I don't want the fake inclusion. I don't want the DEI representative on the show and all that kind of stuff. Like I don't. So let them white and white. And only in one time I do recall I even commented on one of their shows, like they talked about something involving blackness. And I was like, now I could tell you don't have a black friend, and this is where you don't engage black politics. And I was like, okay, my bad. That's my bad. But that's my bad. But usually they're only talking about stuff that I might be somewhat tangentially interested in, but don't want directly to engage. So that's how once upon a time is people might had fun making fun of me about when I watched back in the day Jimmy Dore at the beginning. Well, for me, what was the beginning? Before I realized everything about him, I thought he was having a good time making fun of Democrats from a seemingly working class perspective. And I thought, this is funny. And he was covering things about the Democratic Party that I would not want to engage directly from them or from CNN or MSNBC or something like that. So that was one of the points. And the same reason why I watch R.M. Brown. Like I like his show, and he's a Sam Cedar friend and ally and all of that, but he stays in his lane, and he has a left somewhat approach to mainstream news. And that's how I'm like, that's how I get, and same thing, what I enjoy a lot about your show. I don't know anything about almost any of the people you talk about other than through watching your show. And I'm not watching Hassan's show. I've never seen his show. I've never gone to his channel and watched, I don't think even 10 seconds. So, that's how I like supporting outlets like this, and the more left that they get. And that's one of the reasons why I was happy to link up and support your work. Cause then when you presented as legitimately politically left and not just a kind of left of center critic of the mainstream liberal community, that's where I was like, well, that, my interest and level of wanting to support increased. And then lastly, the other thing I just noted that I think you got exactly right is about Jon Stewart. And I think this happens with a lot of these so-called icons of the liberal left. they don't go back to you got it exactly right. They don't go back to the actual interview. They've reduced him to the meme of him saying to them, why? Like they've reduced it to that, and they've made that, like, oh, what a heroic moment when Jon Stewart looked at Tucker Carlson and them and said, why are you doing this or whatever, and that was it. And that's how people like Bill Maher have gotten away. When he said the 9/11 attackers needed to at least be acknowledged for their courage, people thought he was on the left. I did too, actually. I well, at least probably. I don't really remember, but I probably did too. Was like, that's a pretty left thing to say on national TV, back in 2001, 2002. But then they just clipped that, and then they stopped paying attention or whatever. So yeah, that was it. Those are the only things that I had I do think one day, and to the extent it's not happening, we're going to have to come to terms with the fact that we need a deculturation level of criticism for the actual left. Because I think there's a lot of similar problems.
There's a whole lot.
And
there's a whole lot.
So
so this I'm glad you just said that, because it brings in a whole other thing, which is this like broadly used term of the left, which I still can't define. I still don't know, like, when people say I'm on the left, like, what exactly does that mean? Because your version of left and my version of left can almost always be vastly, vastly different. And so, part of this also is how do we reasonable, I don't even know if reasonable is a good word. Like, how do we engage with this very real problem that part of the reason that the left is such a mess is because you have all of these liberals who call themselves the left. So then you have people who think they're on the left, right? Who think they like have these like radical thoughts and all these things, and it's all based on what these liberals are teaching them. So the whole thing is a mess. And this is why we have people who are willing to like, well, if we get these crumbs for these people, then we've won something, right? And people are unwilling to acknowledge that in accepting the crumbs, you give up the fight for the larger picture thing, which is what actually everybody needs, right? So we have all this drama happening in Newark right now. And it's a continued drama. It's not a new drama. When Delaney Hall opened however many months ago, and people started being out there from the beginning to say, like, why is this place open? No one was really paying attention. And then Ross Baraka went out there and pretended like he got arrested. And then everybody was all about like, oh, well, look at how he stood up for the people. Well, where was he when they were trying to open the place and people were saying, like, stop them from opening, right? Where was he during the entire Biden administration when tens of thousands of people were detained in his city by ICE? And he did not one press conference, right? So now he goes back out there again to go stand next to Mikey Sherrill and pretend like, they're trying to do something out there. Then Andy Kim goes out there and gets pepper sprayed, and now everybody's worried. And what's the response? They send the state police to Delaney Hall to police the protest area. And there are actually people out there going, well, I think it's better for us to be safe while we protest. And I'm like, wait a minute. So the state police working in conjunction with ICE, you think it's to the benefit of the protesters, right? And then when they start throwing smoke bombs and Jordan falls because he's trying to get out of the path of a smoke bomb, like, these are the things that are happening, right, outside of this space in this democratic, this blue state, quote unquote, run by a Democratic governor who sent the police out to police the protesters because they're there to protect ICE. Like this is the like it is like one thing on top of another on top of another. And people will say, well, I voted for Mikey Sherrill because I didn't want whatever the Republican dude was who was aligned with Trump, right? Because Trump. Like it's so frustrating, y'all. It's so frustrating.
So no, this brings up a couple of things. I didn't know about this because I don't watch his content. I literally said it to him. I said it to Little Bill. I don't watch their stuff. I have no patience for white content creators. I have very little patience for liberal non-white creators. In fact, sometimes it's more offensive and appalling. It's more enraging sometimes because you expect it from white people, right? I could never get into Chapo Trap House. It's the hipster whiteness that was just too much, right? And so, but at the same time, about like, I'm in LA. You know, I already have too much whenever I go into the city running into that. So, but.
And I'm not going to argue in defense of my choices, by the way. I'm not going to have an argument.
I got bad ones too.
Why Chapo is no, I'm not doing all of that. So I hear you. I'm not mad at it. Yeah.
No. And look, I listen to some horrible people as well, but a few things that I want to touch on before I do forget, because Renee said that, you know, she used to be Brandon Joy Gray's #1 supporter. What I do, I think her words, right? Her exact words were that. And
I'm a fight you.
is do not donate to bad faith in any capacity, because the fact that Virgil, Texas is still on the banner suggests that there's still a financial type of relationship there. And I've in the past wanted to support. As soon as that came out, there's a non-zero chance that by supporting to Brianna Joy Gray's bad faith, you are supporting Virgil Texas, who's a pedophile. So just keep that in mind, right? That is something that is uncomfortable, but legally speaking, might actually be like the
hold
reality.
up.
Yes.
Honestly, I didn't notice this. Honestly,
Yes.
no. I'm
They
pulling
never
it up
took his
now. I
picture.
honestly
They
didn't
never
notice
took
his name is
picture
still
off.
there.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
never
his
took
name is
picture or his name off.
Oh, they changed the
Yeah.
banner, but his name's still on
they
there
did
with
change
Virgil
it?
Texas.
Well,
but the name is
it-
still down there.
I think legally, she can't change it.
She probably
I think
can't,
that's the
because I would
only-
assume that she
Yep.
would if she could.
Exactly.
Well, that look, let me not make assumptions, but just saying.
I mean, the worst case scenario is that she doesn't have to and she doesn't change it. That would be even worse. But the other thing with R.M. Brown, not to hate on your favorites, not my style of comedy.
Don't do it.
Not to hate on his, like, it's just not my style of humor. I get it. It's a little too Gallagher for me. Like, all he needs to do is pull out a watermelon and it's there. Carrot Top vibes. It's just not my style. But what I will say is, and I've said this before, I've given this example time and time again because I think it's funny. If I come out and say, Ney Fuentes is my primo, people are going to be like, yo, like, what's going on here? AOC can come out and say, Bernie Sanders, that's my Theo Bernie. And nobody bats an eye. It's actually cute and adorable. But they're both white supremacists. One's a Jewish supremacist, and the other one's a weird Catholic, Hispanic white supremacist. Anyways, that's a whole nother, even more complicated than Bernie is Ney Fuentes. But I say that to mention the fact that Sam Cedar, who is the anti-Zionist, refuses to call himself anti-Zionist, has said he doesn't believe Israel should disappear. Things like that. Who advocate for the end of apartheid but not decolonization. Look, he's a Zionist, a liberal Zionist, but he's a Zionist. So for R.M. Brown to still be, buddies with him, again, highlights the fact that we don't take Jewish supremacy, Zionism seriously, and we don't actually value the lives, or these people don't value the lives of Palestinians to the same degree that they would European Jews. So again, like, for me, it's like, hey, where's the consistency? You don't actually view Zionists for what they are, and you don't actually value Palestinian lives. You might say so, you might cover, you might profit off of saying such, but you actually don't. Now, if there's R.M. Brown out there seriously giving criticism of Sam Seder's Zionist position, then maybe you can make an argument in defense of him, but I haven't seen it. I don't know of it.
No. So again, so my argument isn't in defense of him or any of them. My argument is I watch for a particular reason. But no, he doesn't have any criticism of Zionism, period. Or I don't know that he remember him much covering that region at all. So yeah, but again, I'm not. So yeah.
No, so
by all means, have at it. Yeah.
I mean, I do think that it's a little ridiculous to expect liberals, and I do put FD in the space, to have radical like coverage or content. Like I that's what I'm kind of perplexed about this whole thing. Is like, I know FD as the Bo Burnham guy. I know FD as the black pop culture guy. I know FD as, I guess people are making fun of him for making a Zootopia video. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of lines up with his content and why I didn't watch it. What are people expecting? And this highlights Steve 2441 in the comments said, the right defines the left, right? Which I think is true, and it's part of the psyop of it all, where Fox News will call Hassan Piker a communist left and right, and there's nothing communist about him. And Hassan will play into it by reading What Is to Be Done by Lenin or pretending to read it, like LeBron James, I'm sure, read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I'm sure that really happened. The equivalent performance of it all. And because the right does get to define who's a leftist and who isn't, they get to shut out the actual socialist, communists, and anarchists from the conversation. And these figures like Hassan Piker, like the Sam Cedars, go out of their way to make it seem like we're crazy, like we're delusional, like we're not realistic, right? And they would have been doing this for, you name the atrocity that the U.S. has committed. They would have, at the time and space that they would have been there, same position, they would have been doing the same thing. You name the atrocity, they would have been arguing how we're too radical, how we're not being realistic. And so, a prime example, Hassan Piker had to apologize for saying that the U.S. deserved 9/11, right? And his excuse
for saying that for saying what?
That the United States deserved 9/11, right? This was back when he was still with the Young Turks, and he says this, and immediately has to apologize. And his excuse is, English is my second language. This fool speaks English without even an accent because he went to private schools. That doesn't apply. You don't get that excuse. He probably thinks in English. Like it's so pathetic. But he's done performative things like that before. There's a clip of him saying that, I'll watch, I can't quote him directly, but basically that the streets should be red because of what we do to landlords, right? So the streets should be gushing red because of what we do to landlords. His mother was a landlord at the time. His mother was a landlord at the time. And it's all performative. It's all nonsense.
Or maybe because he now owns his own house, he doesn't have to worry about landlords or killing them or being killed because he's one. Or
look, it's just that's already too much thought into it. He's just performing for his audience. And what's unfortunate is, I think, yeah, we're all guilty of that a little bit. Renee mentioning how basically choosing, sorry, I forgot the name of the governor or the mayor you had mentioned, but basically saying like, oh, it's better than the Republican. FD was just saying this about Grant Planner. I didn't know that. And the issue is, and again, the people calling him out are people I disagree with, who want to normalize anti-blackness and neo-Nazi propaganda in the name of Palestinians somehow. But somebody like Graham Plattner, how are you beefing it with Bad Empanada and supporting or conceding ground to Graham Plattner in any degree? Right? Because the issue here is what Graham Plattner is going to do to the left. And I know I'm not trying to hype it up, but I have been working on this video about Graham Plattner. But there's no point of putting it out when there's consistently new information coming out. I don't know if the latest is that he was talking about being a sex tourist in Thailand and getting Latina prostitutes. Like, that's where we're at today. and I don't want to make another video of this guy. So like, I'm just kind of waiting it out till we get even more information to be like, all right, here it is. We're going to just run down how disgusting this individual is. And by association, anyone that supports him. Now, when we talk about like FD and the normalization of something like Graham Plattner and this downplaying of saying like, hey, it's better than having a Republican. No, it isn't. I'm sick and tired of the lesser to evil argument, to the point that I think that the Democratic Party is more evil. The more I study history and look into their actual administrations and the way that they're either doing it themselves or setting up the most disgusting alley-oop for the Republicans to come in and just dunk on the working class, on colonized people, that would not be able to happen without the Democratic Party's assistance, right? By saying like, oh, well, Graham Plattner is better than a Republican because supposedly he's anti-Palestinian. It's nonsense. What you're normalizing, much like Bad Empanada is normalizing, is neo-Nazis in left spaces. Graham Plattner is not just an American supremacist because he served in the Marines and all this stuff. He's a white supremacist because he got a German supremacist tattoo on his chest. If he was solely an American supremacist, he would have those cringy, we the people. He wouldn't be anti-black. He would be saying we're all Americans. We're all in the core. We're all green or whatever the colors they're using, right? That's what he would be saying if he was solely an American supremacist. There are legit American supremacists, by the way. Like, there are people like that. So where it's like, no, we're all Americans. You're here. We're part of one, and we're going to like run the world, and we're top dog. We're the house on the hill, all this nonsense. He's a white supremacist because he got a German supremacist tattoo on his chest that he was aware of. He knows the history of it. And despite them being the enemies of America, what supersedes that is his white supremacist, his white supremacist convictions. And so, again, whether it's a normalization of Jewish supremacy or white supremacy, and by solely focusing on American supremacy, you're normalizing white supremacy. We're seeing this from Sam Cedar and unfortunately from FD, which again is fairly consistent with his politics. And I say unfortunately because it's like now I'm somehow associated with him politically, which is like hilarious because again, all our interactions have been based on disagreements. However, because I'm unwilling to normalize anti-blackness in brown spaces, what the fuck makes you think I'm going to normalize that or co-sign white people doing that shit? If I'm over here arguing with my own people, I've heard every excuse of why somebody that's brown should be able to use the N-word. I've heard every excuse. What makes you think that I'm going to be okay with like racism towards somebody who, yeah, I politically disagree with, but by you being racist, by you using neo-Nazi slogans, I know that we have an issue. And at some point you're going to come after me, or you're going to be supporting people that are going to come after me. Just looking at it from a selfish perspective, right? So when Renee was talking about like, I don't want to stand next to somebody like that, they're not going to be standing if they're next to me. It's that simple. So for me, I mean, man, like why is it so hard to be principled? Why is it so hard to uplift Palestinians?
Because of the
Palestinian
triad.
voices?
It's the triad, man. You cannot be rich, radical, and popular. You cannot be all three things. Are those the right three words, Jab? I think it's rich, radical, and popular. So you have to pick. You have to pick which one you're not going to be, right? And most people are going to give up the radical because the radical is the part of it that undoes the other two.
Or they're never going to embrace it. Because I don't think a lot of these individuals start off radical.
No, and but even if they, and I think what bothers me is even the people who recognize that what they're doing is just on the edge of counterinsurgency in a way that it is actually counterproductive to the very thing they claim they're trying to do. Right? But they do it anyway because they want to remain popular and paying their bills. Right? And I guess in part I'm like, I hear you. Everybody wants to eat, But maybe if we were all on the radical side, where we were fighting for everybody to have all the things they need, you wouldn't have to give up your radicalism, because it would be acceptable to be radical in a space in which everyone has the things that they need to live. Is that like, in giving that up, you are conceding to the very system that is preventing you from doing the thing that you know is the right thing to do. And I don't have like, it's rough, man. It's rough. It's rough, and it's infuriating in a way that often I'm unable to address, because I'm not any of those things, right? Like, I know people like the show and they watch and get good numbers and all that stuff. But when you look at, in comparison, like our numbers in comparison to some of these people who are absolutely full of shit, we are like a drop in the bucket, right? And so, but I'm okay being a drop in the bucket, but bringing honesty and trying to get people to see where the problems are and all of these things. And I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. And that's, again, I say that conceding the point that I live in a house, my spouse has a job, we have insurance, like all of these things. So I am also, again, living within this capitalist system. And I acknowledge that contradiction. But at the same time, there's just some shit that I'm not going to do, period.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think one of the, I tell people all this, I've usually mentioned this before a lot more, where one, I'm out here in LA, it's big, but it's not too big. Somebody like Hassan Piker knows about me, has heard about me, has already blocked me on social media. But like, I know the spaces that he goes to. Anyway, I won't get into details, but it's, the scene is not that big here. It really isn't. And one thing that I do want to say is, in terms of like the left, when we're talking about socialists, communists, and anarchists, the real ones, when we're talking about the 3 R's, right? The triad. And I ran into them. Like, I'm embarrassed to tell on my stream. Some of them already know, right? But the reason is that the people that I admire that are on the ground don't have time to stream. They're either cooking meals for homeless people, they're organizing their communities, they're too busy. They're just too busy. And I do feel guilty for like doing this, for like making money from it. Like, believe me, like it eats at me. And that's why I try to do, work in my union spaces. I try to do what I can, because I feel guilty. Maybe it's just Catholic guilt, maybe whatever, but it's just, I do feel like a fraud because I'm not doing the radical work completely and wholly invested in that. But I also recognize the fact that nobody's calling this out the way that I am. And that might be arrogance. That might be what I need to tell myself to continue doing it. But the feedback that I've been getting demonstrates that. And the fact is, I'm not like here to sell out. If I wanted to go down that route, Hassan Piker does not have a lot of these individuals in general do not have a lot of like non-white friends. In fact, the individual from TrueAnon, who I'm pretty sure works for the State Department in some capacity because he was out there in Syria for a while, but Bray Spelden is his name. TrueAnon, big podcast, got really popular off of covering Epstein, and it's actually fairly entertaining. But anyway, I got my white podcast too, Dr. Ball. The point being is, he literally states with Hassan Piker, they're laughing at the fact that Nick Fuentes has more of a diverse friend group than they do, because they're hanging out with people like Sneeko, who's half Haitian, half I forget what else. The guy from Fresh and Fit. Like, how is it that these reactionaries have more diverse friend groups than they do? And I'm like, yeah, that's typical of the white left. The white left may probably not read, non-white authors, but they're not going to incorporate it, and they're definitely not going to actually engage with non-white radicals because they're going to get called out. They're going to get called out, and they don't want to be held accountable for anything. They want their safe space, their white space, because it's comfortable there. There's no challenge there. And so if I wanted to really cash in, I could play that role of the Latino, Mexican, American, Chicano friend. And the proximity and the connections, I know people that would have made that happen or help assist to that. And I'm not street enough to where he would feel completely uncomfortable and where I would bring any heat to him like that. Now, like little things like that to where, like, when I think about it, I'm like, damn, I could have played this way differently. Same thing with Bad Empanada. A lot of people say, oh, you guys have similar politics. What's the issue here? The issue here is that he's a fucking fraud. He's a liar and he's an opportunist, and he consistently contradicts himself and demonstrates his allegiance as a fucking settler, as a colonizer of Australia to the actual settler colonial projects by calling for the U.S. invasion, the U.S. colonization of Greenland. That's 88% Inuit, who has the highest rate of suicide because of colonization. And he's calling for their genocide, essentially, by the U.S. because it thinks it's going to end NATO. You think NATO is going to end because the U.S. exterminates the Inuit people? That's not going to be it. They don't give a fuck unless it involves other white people. And so I despise these people because if I'm around them, if we're in proximity to each other, I'd be telling them off at the very least. I don't organize with white people if I can help it. So this whole idea of like selling out and kind of giving an excuse to the triad and all this, I don't know. I understand what you're saying and I agree with it. But I think it's like we're too forgiving to these individuals. And I get what you're saying about needing to eat. But I grew up on food stamps. I grew up living in garages. Like, I don't fuck with that excuse. I've been hungry. And I've seen the sacrifices, undocumented people sacrificing to put a roof over my head, to put food on the table. We don't have that excuse. We don't have that luxury. And so I don't excuse these people. And
I don't excuse them.
No, I know. But it's kind of like, man, but it's kind of like they're not starving. They're not starving. No. You know what I mean? So at a certain point, man, like, and to me, the point would be getting out of debt. Like, what are you afraid of financially? And I get it. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I get that. I got a husky and he's spoiled as hell, but like, he could skip a meal if need be, but we could share a plate, actually. In fact, I gave him my scraps. I had some lamb chops yesterday and I gave him my scraps. So, there's ways. And so, especially being in the belly of the beast, I mean, man, like, we're so fortunate. We're so goddamn fortunate, man. Anywho, I'm rambling. Please, lifeline over here.
No, all good. I agree. I mean, I just, and I know that's not what I was saying, but for the audience, like, I say what I say because I think it's important that we acknowledge that these folks are all, whether knowingly, willingly, or whatever, we are all part of the same capitalist system. And what I wish for them would be that instead of falling to it, right, that everybody could get on the same page to fight against it, because then you don't have to fall to it anymore. And so the system allows for all of these things to happen. Like, the reason a Jay-Z exists is so the system can point to Jay-Z and say, look, Jay-Z did it. He pulled himself up by his bootstraps. He got himself together. He's almost a billionaire now. He is a billionaire now, whatever. And it highlights these people as these positions that everyone else has to work to ascertain, when it is very full and clear that you are never going to get into that position unless you capitulate to the capitalist system. That's the only way to do it. So there is no workaround. And so for me, I'm always trying to figure out, like, what is the thing that will get someone to say going against the system is more important than my own personal comfort? Because that's the fight, right? Everybody at the core, and this includes myself, is individualistic. And at the core, people are always going to have that internal thought of, how do I survive this? And so the decision that you make after you ask yourself that question is what guides your next thing. Right?
Can I slightly disagree? I slightly disagree in that I actually don't think people by nature are individualistic. I think almost by the course of evolution, we've had to have some sort of built-in concern for others, even if it's just so that it's more likely for our own survival. What I think happens, particularly through capitalism, is we are encouraged into individualism. And then I think people are encouraged into patterns of behavior that, if we're trying to perform an objective analysis, we can recognize and acknowledge where the iron triangle comes in and plays an impact without excusing or justifying the behavior, just to say this is why, you know, so that
well, just
that's
so
why
you
I think,
know, I don't,
yeah.
I may not have expressed it well, but I agree with you. I wasn't trying to say it was inert and natural to be individualistic. I just think that at the core of it is what makes people make the decisions that they make, is because they are forced to consider the question of, what about me?
Yeah, and so yeah, that's it. And then I think that and that's why I think that the goal has to be, and I'm thinking of, you know, again, anecdotally, in my own, something I'm dealing with right now, is that we have to have we have to create the organizations, I was thinking of the word incubator, really. We have to make it possible for people to tap into their better tendencies, because so much of what happened, I mean, we're just encouraged to our most individualistic and lowest forms, and that only benefits the folks that are now, again, 1% of the population in this country is worth $54 trillion. So they have literally twice the GDP of this country as their personal wealth. And Carlos is talking about people living in garages or worse. So it's you know, that's, you know, anyway, that was it. But the building, yeah, and then, you know, and so much effort is waged against our ability to build those alternatives. And that's in part why, because then we're left to our own devices, and people have to make individual choices and become heroic, like some in our own personal lives, or just get, you know,
and then there's also the very real, like, you can die doing this, right? Like, there's the very real, the system is not trying to let you be a voice if they can stop you from doing that, right? So there is also the reality of political imprisonment, the reality of like the government coming for you and you no longer actually being on this earth, right? Like, those are also very real things. And I don't know how to combat any of that as a reality, right? Outside of just being like, I'm going to try my best to stay here because I have a family and people who care about me and all these things, right? But it's a lot.
I mean, and then I'm just looking at the email notification I got. How are we supposed to stand up when at this year's Invest Fest you can go see Serena Williams, Nick Cannon, Steve Harvey, T.I., Jermaine Dupri, all in one place. Joey Badass, Vic Mensa, Lala Anthony. How are we supposed what are we supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to
I don't need it. Like, what do you even do with that? Carlos right now is like, oh no, you should go to Invest Fest. I want that video. I want that video of you at Invest Fest.
No, it's funny because my first thought was
we'll fund it. I'll put 5 on it. I would annoy Geechee so
much, man. He has the patience of a saint, that man. I don't know how he does it. He's like basically running a one-man retirement home, if you think about it. Poor Geechee. So
wow.
No, I mean, honestly, my first thought was like, oh, is Joey actually going to perform? Because I'm a huge Joey Badass fan. So, I mean, to the point where I was rooting for him against essentially the whole West Coast. Man, but that guy, Mick Venza, what's his name?
Vic Mensa.
Vic Mensa.
You don't like his orange tree ruminations?
It is so performative. It is so like, I really despise like the nonchalant approach to anything. This is one of the main reasons why I can't stand Noah Sampson. Another one of FD's friends. Like anytime that anybody takes it like for me, it's a hipster thing of like, I'm just here, man. Can you believe this is happening? Like at the moment you give me that energy, I want to like smack you, bro. Like just like, what are you doing? Like, oh, can you believe it? Like very Garfield, and I love Garfield too. I don't know.
That shit is hilarious. This shit is hilarious.
Oh, I just saw that. Yeah, I just saw that.
What happened?
I think I saw what you saw in the chat.
No, I'm laughing at you. I didn't see anything.
Oh, okay.
So,
somebody said, "Isn't Big Ben?"
Like, I don't know who.
Is he? Is that a joke, A-Rob, or is that true?
I think that might be true.
So see, this is how bad it is. Like, I don't know who's Vic Mensa. Who is that?
Oh, hold up. We gotta hold up. No. We can't have that.
I know.
We can't have that.
I do.
Absolutely not.
Just a little bit. I live in a political
Renee will not be out here
because I just can't.
Be warned, Renee. There's a muscle T-shirt.
So hold on. I want to find a more recent. Let me get up to date. Hold on a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a second if necessary.
There we go.
I want to.
Even Leah's laughing at me. See, it's not just me. I'm not alone. Although you can never tell with Yipper.
It's Yipper. Yeah, exactly. It's Yipper.
Yeah, be careful with Yipper. Yeah, be careful.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to his most recent Instagram post. I have not seen it. I'm not vetting this. I'm not co-signing.
Oh, is this the Instagram dude with the orange tree?
Oh,
yeah. Okay. No. Yes. Okay, so my bubble's not that bad.
Okay.
I know.
War on Gaza started. I had a baby on the way. I was trying to shut the fuck up. I was trying my hardest. I'm not good at it. So eventually I made a post. I said something quite critical of a place that rhymes with chemtrail. Boom, phone call. Oh yeah, you know that deal was going to be a couple $100,000. Bye, Miss American Pie. Fuck is you talking about? So from that point, I tried to muzzle myself about social issues in general. I thought I could be palatable. But the result is I was just dead inside. I felt such a gripping shame. So many sleepless nights. I felt complicit. But a lot of the opportunities I was relying on to feed my child were like predicated on me holding my tongue.
All right, so that's why that feels like
I feel a little bit better now that I just didn't know the name, but admittedly I don't watch those.
Well, if you can scrape
they
together,
pop up on my feed And then I watch like the first like 30 seconds and I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like I'm cool. But
if you can cough up
cough up a what?
A few, let's see, I was trying to get the 250 minimum. You can go see him in August at InvestFest.
Wow.
So we can fundraise and get Geechee and Carlos to do a collaborative journalistic
a live stream
from InvestFest. Straight up, I would absolutely.
I don't even know how to. And so like somebody like that, right? So he's selling this story that like, they tried to get him to sell out. But he's just gonna keep speaking the truth, right? And like,
I'll never sell out. So catch me at InvestFest.
But see, but that's the trick though, because we all know that there are actual consequences for speaking out in defense of Palestine.
100%.
So they tap into that.
Like, so what is he doing in his community? Like, does he ever post like a study group or a book that he wants folks to read?
So Leia brings this up. Leia in the chat says that he went to Cuba with Amanda Seals and Medea Benjamin.
Oh Lord.
The same thing that just with the flotillas going to Palestine. Being here comfortable, fuck it, whatever. It's fucking bullshit performative. It's bullshit performance, and it's again, shout out to Two Black contributing to this nonsense about nonviolence. The fucking defenders were more fucking like adversarial for whales, right? And so I think it is a psyop to continue this nonsense of nonviolence. I'm not saying I'm doing this, I'm not saying I'm doing that, but at the very least, I'm not contributing to this propaganda. For me, and the amount of like Jewish people involved in terms of like, I don't believe that they're anti-Zionist to begin with. It's just, man, okay, sorry. So anywho, it's so fucking frustrating because the whole Cuba trip, they're acting like if Cuba hasn't been under a blockade for decades. The reason why it got so much attention isn't because of the suffering of the Cuban people. It's because they were finally able to see, like, well, it's Donald Trump. We got to stop Donald Trump. We got to go out there. To me, it just 100% reads off like a Democratic Party ploy. Oh, send our radicals out there like that. I lost all respect to, what's her name, Medea Benjamin, when she was like holding arms with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a difference between a politician saying, yeah, I'm going to endorse a bill that I agree with, and actually like hugging and holding each other, being like, oh my gosh, she's with us. She's anti-war.
She was another People's Party person. So all of these people and Lynn Stacks, like the struggle. Every time these people are out in the world, and I remember how fiercely they supported Nick Brana and the People's Party, and how completely adamant they were that none of the stuff people were saying was happening within that organization was happening, and how they did not stop their support. Like, Medea, y'all, all these people, it is 100% performance. And for me, the tricky part is like navigating the spaces of the people who go there and are working with actual organizations within Cuba, who stay in touch with those organizations, who keep working with the people, like all these things. Like, I don't even know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But I do know this. It's almost 1 o'clock. We're not doing no 3-4 hour stream today.
Oh, that's why I was snacking during, because I was like, I'm not going to, usually I'm like, I wait and have lunch after the show. But I was like, I'm not going to put myself through it if if Carlos is going to be here.
So, let me just add one. Apparently, for Jared, for white Jared, you got all the time in the world. But anyways, I get it. It's fine. It's cool.
That's on his show.
I didn't say
that is
first
always
of all
on his show.
That's on his show. Second of all, that's funny.
Can I say one thing about the Cuba thing before we move on?
Absolutely.
Whatever help and assistance and food and money that they brought, great, awesome, beautiful. But to highlight your point, Renee, these are affluent, if not straight up rich people. These are people that are living comfortably, that have these connections, that are making a living off these performances or claiming to be, allies or radicals or whatnot. Why is it, to your point, Renee, that you don't have these year-long established connections to these organizations? Why isn't this a normal thing for you to be able to do because you can afford it? And why is it a one-off? That's the real question. And sometimes people are like, oh, well, what do you want for them? I want more. I do want more from white people. I do want more from rich people. And if they're rich and white, I want a whole lot more. Stop acting like this isn't on them. I'll leave it there.
Well, we are on a time limit, mostly because Saturdays are I'm already trying to navigate life in general. But I will say that I will happily have you back as long as, you don't mind breaking your rule again.
Look, my whole thing is, and I told this to Jared at Millennials, just it's a warning. You had last week Lara on, who is psychic militancy is a godsend. That is so vital, so essential. Her work and herself, just a fucking beam of ray, right? So there's going to be a dip in quality and analysis, but there's going to be, as compensation, a whole lot of shit talking and pettiness. So, I give where I can.
You sharing the screen with King Petty right there.
People be like, why do you go out of your way to be petty? People be like, why?
My bad. I was about to play it. My bad. Yeah.
Also, just kind of, I'm assuming from what I heard, I don't know, I haven't confirmed, but Revolutionary Blackout Network is no more, right? Sorry, I don't know if we're wrapping up, so I want to make sure I get this in. The first big time that I really, really seeing Renee get pushed to the forefront of a conversation was thanks to
when they called me out and called me a bitch on their live stream.
Revolutionary Blackout Network, aka Fred Hampton's Leftist, or Fred Hampton Leftist, whatever. They said that Renee Johnson was going to be the end of other stuff happened unrelated to Renee, I'm sure, but essentially of Black Liberation Media. And from my understanding, that coalition over there doesn't exist anymore. So Renee, credit to you for finding a way of destroying an organization. It just wasn't the one they claimed was going to get destroyed. So I hope that you savor that, because man, were they so pathetic and annoying.
They was really mad at me, but I like to think that I have helped this channel in some ways and not destroyed it as it was predicted. And so
I think when the history books are all said and done and written in full, it'll be recounted that you likely saved the platform. So
some lore,
if anything, it's far from not destroying it. But yeah, no, I don't have anything to add on that particular topic. That's oh well.
They sure were.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it
Yeah,
says a whole lot. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. Go ahead.
No, I mean, to me, it says a whole lot the way that people either, just broadly speaking, the way that they treat non-white people in comparison to the way that they treat white people. Because the amount of disrespect that they went through with Jimmy Dore, and the way that they continue to grovel for him, and the way that they treated you and talked about you and disrespected you, to me, it was like, oh, okay, I know what you're about. If this is the type of energy you bring to, to people in your own community, Black people, but just, again, broadly speaking, the way that you interact with non-white people in comparison to the way that you interact with white people tells me everything I need to know about you. Everything. And they, I mean, time and time again, they demonstrated where they were willing to, use a soft touch and use kid gloves in comparison to, I mean, look, I love that clip because it's Nick Cruz with Jake Shields talking about, yeah, you're a real supporter of liberation of Palestine. And then they cut to commercial break and Jake Shields selling Rhodesia t-shirts. It does not get more like just completely.
That shit was crazy.
Encompassing than that. Like, that is a perfect moment. Like, the way that I smiled, that gave me years of my life. Like, that gave me more time on this earth, man. It was so good. Oh yeah.
No, that was great.
I just want to say this all, once again, it all goes back to the People's Party. Which I just know is a CIA ops. we just gonna call it what it is.
So I feel like, my whatever was working, because again, towards the end of the pandemic, I went to one of their events out here in Maryland because I was curious. I was like, let me just see who are these folks and what. And I was like, okay, I took a look around, saw who showed up, saw what would the I was like, all right. I was like, I'm good. And I remember they were like, do you want to hold a sign and stand with us? And I was like, no, I think I'm good. I'm gonna head on home. About to be on out.
And yet and still, I still had to yell at y'all about your boy, Dr. West. Because this is how, look.
Listen.
Look, I just want to point out that I am often right about these things, despite people not wanting to concede to the fact that I'm often right about these things, that I was right. And this is why the struggle continues, because it's rough, man.
People just need to, let the fact wash over them that Renee is going to be right.
Not all the time, but a lot of the time. But anyway, I do have to roll, y'all.
Yeah, I think we all unfortunately, we all got to get to the rest of our lives, unfortunately. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I am petty, but some things are more important. I do want to highlight and say, please go check out Camila Galarza, her interview with Jay Buffont. He was one of the individuals from that whole crew over there. But I think Camila and her analysis in Latin America, specifically what's going on in Bolivia and Ecuador right now, the fact that even these democratic socialists, if you want to call it that, political leaders from Scheibom to you name it, Lula da Silva is hilarious, but even individuals like that are too much of a threat to the status quo and to capital. And I think Camila is absolutely vital for anyone's understanding of what's going on in Latin America. Somebody who I admire and somebody who's someday I hope to be able to articulate myself as well as her in regards to Latin America, because apparently I'm one of the few brown faces doing at least the live stream stuff in politics. for better for worse. Y'all are stuck with me. But Camila, please go check out her interview with Jay Buffont. It was just everything she does is outstanding. But if not that, go check out again. Rewatch the return of, I think it's Operation Condor with Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. Again, voices like her are vital, and a whole lot better than mine. So
I'll find it. We'll drop it in the show notes, Jared. I'll track it down. But I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate being able to. We didn't even get to the Mamdani article, which I sent to Jared because you sent it to me, and it took me a minute to find it. So we got all this other stuff in the works that we can circle back. We can circle back. But I appreciate you for real. Thank you so much for coming on. This was good. This was good.
Definitely, thank you very much. No, yeah, anytime. We'll have you definitely whenever. Have you come back. Thanks to ZZ Lion for the super chat. Talk about whoever, I don't remember who we're talking about here, started with Mike of Majority Report. I appreciate her because Brianna Joy Gray, I'm sure is who. No, I don't know who he's talking about. But
it's Mike, I think Michael Brooks, the great white savior saint. Never forget the most overrated white leftist. But okay.
I never heard another person I had never seen or heard a word of him, and yet have been told on or seen on many occasions.
He loved Lula. This man loved Lula. Like interviewed him, did everything, like really fell for the whole shtick. He wrote a book called The Intellectual Dark Web, exposing individuals like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. But if you actually read it, it's more like a pamphlet than a book. If you actually read it, he goes super soft on Joe Rogan because he still wanted to keep that lane open. And sure enough, Ben Burgess from Jacobin and ends up having a conversation with Joe Rogan, and they talk about Michael Brooks. And I can't think of somebody who's more overrated than Michael Brooks. I got to meet him. Very kind person, very generous with his time. But like most white leftists at that time, I was giving them the test and he failed. I asked him if he supported the liberation of Palestine, decolonization. He said yes. All right, dope. A white Jewish guy saying that? Awesome. Do you support the decolonization of the United States? Oh, well, things are a little different here. It's been so long, and what indigenous communities would. And I was like, all right, bro. All right. I see. So it's just a matter of time and amount of people killed for a lot of these white leftists. It's just a matter of time and how many indigenous people have been killed. That's what it is for them. But hey, I don't speak ill of the dead.
That's funny. Yeah. Old Grease, thank you very much. This is for your in sponsorship to InvestFest. So Old Grease is $2 on it, and then Brittany correctly says 60% of the time Renee is right every time, and I'm proud that I understand the reference. So all right, everybody, listen, thanks to you, Deculturation. Please, everybody, make sure you're checking out his content. Subscribe over there to all the channels, and like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon here at Black Liberation Media as well. Salute again to Renee and to the undefeated chat. And we will again ask you all, or tell or encourage you all, or say to you all, peace only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. And we'll see you next week with more
Saturday with Renee.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.